Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Learning from the Masters. Today, kind of a unusual artist, Norman Rockwell. Very popular, very famous, but not treated as he should be, in my opinion. So, and very interesting artist with lots of things to say. So, um, great talking to about him today. So it will be quite fun. Norman Rockwell is quite an entertaining painter and artist to talk about. And as always, just a reminder, I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form. I don't even quite know Rockwell so well. I'm just gonna try to have a look and see what we can take from it and what we can learn. Close this window. People around outside are making noise. So hi Petka, hi San Giovanni Battista, Kinga, James, and Paula. So Rockwell is quite an unusual artist because of the context of his work, which is a time just between painting and photography, and his entire work is is a clear. Hey Mike. His entire work is a clear way, can question so much about like the place of painting when photography is so important. Like in our lives, we see I don't know, guys, how many photographies do we see every day? Photographs, sorry. How many pictures do we see every day? Like nowadays, like so many. And what's the place of painting in this time? And Rockwell is exactly at this time, just between the time of painting and the time of photography, illustration, magazines, like popular culture, and still traditional painting, and so many interesting things. Haisla, no, he's not really similar to Warhol in how he referenced, because Warhol sort of like he sort of no, because no, it's really not the same kind of approach to popular culture. Like Rockwell is trying to depict popular, whereas Warhol is using popular. Like I don't know the difference. Hey Julie. All right, so like, and because he is a more recent artist, I don't know. He died in 1978. Was born in 1894. It makes that we know a lot more about his technique. Again, if you really want to know about his technique, the best is not to listen to me, is to buy his own book. I mean, there's like, I think, 2 books about how he painted. The first one being like the one that I think about. The next one, I don't know which one what's the name of it, but the one that I think about is called Rockwell, about Rockwell, how I do a painting, or how I don't know, like it's I haven't read it, but I know it's the most like reliable source. Do not trust what I will be saying, because yeah, well, you want a Renaissance? Well, we already did Caravaggio a few episodes ago, so I'm not gonna always stay in the Renaissance. And it's gonna be a fresh breath of modernity into this world. And clearly in the technique, not in the style at all, but in the technique, Rockwell has nothing um, to um, to envy to most 19th century masters. He was a really gifted artist, and he had some quite modern tricks, which is also more reliable for us, like for today. Like lots of what he did was more modern in many way. So I think it's going to be quite interesting. So, and he was a cartoonist as well. But he was a really gifted draftsman, and but he also used a lot of like sort of cheats too, because he was a very productive artist. Like you have to remember, like he was mostly doing covers or illustrations for magazines, like in the 50s or like during the war, everything like this. So whatever he had to do a lot. So he had to be a very productive painter. It couldn't be like Da Vinci, like only painting just when he felt like it. He had to be very productive, yeah. So he had some tricks, and we're going to but still, I think, like, still for such a productive artist, his technique is quite extensive in the amount of stages and steps that he takes. So yes, we might do Freud soon. Yeah, he did a lot of self-portraits. So first, yes, the Boy Scouts magazine was like sort of his first first sort of job, like regular occupation as an artist. So he studied in the Art Student League of New York. So, and his first like type of, like, before he went to what was the name of I still need to, I don't know, this like very famous magazine, like Sunday Herald or something like this. I'm just going to check real quick. Just going to check the Saturday Evening Post. But before that, he like, so he worked for a long time for the Scouts. So the publication is called Boy's Life. So a lot of joyful, like very colorful paintings like this, and but still with a lot of I'm gonna get the chat. Bonsoir Benoit. Hey herself. So a lot of illustrations like these, but you can really see the painting process right here. It's still definitely a painting. And you have to realize that Rockwell, he was concerned with the format, because he was doing things for magazines. So you'll have to always consider that whenever there is a composition, there is always the magazine format in mind, and it can be seen in almost all of his work. Like everything had to be done so that it could fit, so you will not see some weird shapes. But this kind of this square is kind of cool, in fact, in how like create this square, and the like it plays with this idea of format and how the magazine is shaped, and like the boy is like reaching out of the picture. It's kind of cool, and I really like that it's illustration, but you can still see quite clearly the brush strokes, which are like very nicely painted, very fluid, really cool. And these faces, like so funny. And this is quite impressive. I've always found so impressive like writing with paint. So I've always found this so tough. I'm always disappointed whenever I try to write anything in paint. I hate it, but like it's quite nice. Hey Nihat. J'adore cet illustrateur et son subtil sens de la caricature. Tout à fait. So his style was more like funny and friendly, but he was, and because of this, like most of his career, he was not really treated as a like serious artist. Hi Vox. Well, you could use a stencil, you could, but still, like it's still a pain. It's still a pain. Or you have to use something like for writing letters. Like this is not a stencil. Like you can clearly see how the white was painted around the letters. You can clearly see the brush marks like around the O, around the C. He was like, but this is the best way, maybe, like this is something, if you have to write with paint sometime, this is the best way, like, because if you paint, whenever your brush is pressing, it's always like sort of irregular, and it's never going to be like perfectly straight like a letter is supposed to be. So you have to write something, kind of let it dry, and then when it's dry, come back with more paint of the outside color, and like clear out the mistakes. You can clearly see that it's handmade. Like this E right there has a little bit more of a like straight line here, and here it's more roundish. And like you can see the transition between this white paint, gray white in the previous layer right there. So yeah, kind of interesting. And well, yeah, and I was saying, yeah, because he started painting this kind of stuff, and because he was more into like caricatures and like sort of funny cartoonish paintings, like in the beginning he was not treated as a very serious artist, even though his painting technique was very, very serious. Like in his paint handling, it's just the themes and all the things that he's done. So like even in his time, he was not really treated as a master artist, and he was more like treated as an illustrator, which asks the question, where does art begin and where does illustration starts? what's the line? Where can you draw the line? Because when you look at this, yeah, it's kind of cartoonish, and you would say no, it's not serious art. But when you look at something like this has high political um, implication. Like it's a very strong picture, not as cartoonish anymore, right? So he could be a lot more serious than people took him for. And I think that no matter what you think about Rockwell, like even this one, the very very famous one, we're going to come back at them in a little while. Egede, Leonardo da Vinci, and Raphael. Yeah, but illustration is art. No, this was mostly oil. This was mostly oil. So he would paint with the illustration in mind, but still use oil for the painting. And but still it had to be made so that you could take a clear picture of it and put it in the magazine. Like nowadays you would use digital painting if you want to make something for a magazine. It was a lot of effort for something to in the end just take a picture of it and put it in the magazine, because like his process was very very tedious for such a productive artist. So he had some a lot of time in everything he did. Like first he made a cartoon, no, not a cartoon, sorry, the Italian word for carton, which is a charcoal study. You can see that charcoal study exactly at the same size for the final painting. Then he would use sometimes he would use a projector, or he would use a lot of different photographs to sort of create this image out of his imagination. He would take models, reference pictures here and there, like the picture of a little girl. I think we can check that. We still have the pictures. Norman Rockwell, photographs, paintings. See, so he would take some reference pictures, and we can have it, and use this, he would really make the same kind of scene. See, the photograph, and he really wanted to have the models sit with exactly what he wanted in the end. He would really ask them for the right type of clothing, and he would really go far to create this reference picture. But then he would just sort of make a mix match of things, cut and paste things, cut and paste elements, and add elements. So add this guy, and all the color work was his own. Like this guy, for instance. This one is interesting. Like how much he added, like sort of used this as an anchor for the painting, and then all around it put lots of elements. There's a lot of humor too. You think illustrators today are generally better technically than most people who call themselves fine artists? Well, I think this was already the case in the time of Rockwell, like because he was at the time of like Pollock, Warhol, all these guys. Like I don't know if they could really take a brush and make a painting like Rockwell, but still the serious artists were the modernists at the time. Like the times had shifted, so this was more for magazines, and even after that, the magazines started losing interest in paintings and rely a lot more on photography. Even today, like the magazines do not have like well-made paintings like this anymore. It's not part of the culture of the magazine culture anymore. That's it's over. This time is over. And this happened during Rockwell's time. So, but he was popular enough so that he would not affect him. But like photography has completely replaced this kind of things. Like times have moved. So you can see like the difference between what he saw and what he added. Like so a lot of things had to do with his imagination, and you can really see how much it's a lot about cut and paste, but like each element was referenced in a very detailed manner. Like he had I saw that he had a painting, a photo of the little girl, and maybe he took some photos of these guys. So everything has to fit together. It's really cut and paste right there, you can see. So quite detailed charcoal. He would then transfer this charcoal. So this is exactly the size of the final painting, which reminds the technique of the 19th century classical technique to do the drawing at the size of the final painting. Hi, Dennis. Yeah, there is something quite heartwarming, but I think it's heartwarming when Rockwell decides to do something heartwarming, and it's also strong when it needs to be strong. It's never depressing, but the thing with Rockwell's style and his always in his composition, you always have like the most powerful and striking composition as possible. So he used a lot of geometric tricks, lots of tricks to make the picture stand out and be as powerful as possible. Like This is why so many of his work and of his painting are like well known even today. Like every time he did something for a composition, he put so much work into making the composition as powerful as possible. And this is always the case. Like the composition is always super powerful. And this is why we all know this one. We've all seen that one. Like there's so many that are just very famous. This one too is quite famous. Like lots of geometric things. Many of his paintings are very like focused on creating a striking image, like a clear, powerful, straight to the point subject right where you want it to be, kind of comic looky in a way, but no matter how it looks, it's always made to be as strong, as powerful as possible. Like all these frame tricks to sort of focus the attention and create a very original aspect. So composition wise, like look at this. This is very like strong in terms of composition too. Like clear diagonals. It's always made to be as like striking as possible. He did some books, like he did a book called Rockwell by Rockwell, about how he painted and what was his technique. Hi Esther. Hey Maya. Yeah, definitely, Mike. I definitely agree that there could be a study on iconic images and their influence on culture. Because like culture has integrated Rockwell's paintings, and it's often the case that you see like parodies of these paintings, like in movies or things like this. They are so famous and so well known. Like it's hard to stay on one. This one is so funny. This is a sketch. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Like this one, very famous. This one too is famous. I've seen this. This one, I think I saw this. So this was, of course, this was propaganda for during the war. But it's still a lot better than German or Russian propaganda. Like a lot more subtle, but still expressive. This too. This one too has some kind of warm, quiet element. Very moving. Very moving and still very strong in terms of composition, in terms of color. Everything is well together. Simplicity, but yet it is like just what needs to be done to just hit and keep your attention. . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 .
。
And I don't know if you've seen that, but like, wow, this is amazing. I don't know what were the dimensions of this painting, but how can you write this? This is amazing skills. Look at the word on the wall. The word on the wall. On this one? Maybe on the previous one? He did a painting of Nixon, I think, or I don't know which one. Some like politicians. How big were these? So they don't really say, because they were like reprinted, and right there they don't say it. But I don't know. I don't know exactly. They don't give the exact information for all of these. And I love how he made the expressions. Like, this is a skill that not every artist has, creating the smile, the grunting, all these expressions. Many people that are not as gifted as Rockwell would do this and make it look super creepy. But like, he could do a portrait, like a perfect portrait with like 3 different expressions. Spielberg used that image in Rising Sun. Yeah, probably. Like a lot of I don't know. Like there should be a site referencing all the times that Rockwell's paintings were like used or covered or parodied in like many shapes of movies and shows and like photos. Like it happens a lot. Salut Emmanuel. The parents looking over the children in the bed was used to reinforce how the parents can't protect their children forever. Yeah, it's quite true. So it's very touching and very moving in a way. Like lots of what he does. Let's have a look at this one. Murder in Mississippi, Southern Justice. So this is clearly about the civil rights movement. So whoever said that Rockwell is not a serious artist like should think twice when considering these paintings, these very powerful paintings. So I'll let you read the description if you want. So you'll go back like when it's done, because I'm not necessarily going to read. So it was just about the murder of 3 young civil rights workers. But let's look at how he painted that. So very foggish and very washed out. First of all, like for a Rockwell painting, this is very washed out. Of course, this element, which is well known in photography or videography today, which has a name, where like everything is like monochromatic except for the red or another type of color, but usually it's the red. It has a name if you can look it up. This like thing has a name, but this was before. This was even before this was kind of invented. So maybe Rockwell and this painting was the first. So it really reinforced the blood color, of course. I'm not sure if Rockwell intended the same. No, I think, well, in the painting about the kids, Rockwell intended like sort of like if you because it was propaganda for people to act like buy bonds for the war. So if you buy the bonds for the war, you kind of protect the kids, and the kids are safe. They're sleeping like carelessly, and during that time, thanks to you, like they're safe because you contributed to the war effort. I think this was what was intended. Yeah, maybe parents appreciating the moment, just like you said, Julie, just like uh, cherishing a moment during tough times. In terms of composition, not that much. It's not that different. Um, the thing in his later years, he did not do the like like the frame trick anymore, like where you have like a sort of a framing that would go something like this, and just this is the background and this is just the page of the magazine, and like the subjects are overlapping, and this he kind of did not do. It did a lot when he was like strictly painting for a magazine, but clearly, so this was published in the magazine, but this clearly had a more a broader intention. Like the intention is clearly to get out of the magazine and to stand out as a painting, like a painting on its own. So the magazine is here to give the publicity, but this was clearly made with the codes of magazine. I'm not even sure, like, because I know that this is the imprimatura wash. It's very classical. It's raw umber and a little bit of white. Here is just raw umber, maybe ivory black, raw umber, a little bit of black. But this also, oh yeah, I'm just thinking about this. like in the early days of magazine illustrations and paintings, so the range of colors was not as great as in the end, like after the 50s. So before this time, like the magazine that required painters to just paint for illustrations had only like a three color code. It was black, white, and red, because the magazine, like maybe to reduce cost or whatever, was printing in color only three colors: red, white, and black, which created let me see if I can find um, let me see if I can find a picture of this. And come back to this painting because it kind of goes back to this time. So like at first it would be just like this type of color composition, because it was a lot easier in the magazines to just print. But still, you can see it's very clean, very well brushed out, very smooth, very soft, very perfectly painted. And in the color composition, so this was in the early days, maybe. But when you come back to this painting, it's kind of the same color theme. Like raw umber instead of black, white, and just a slight touch of red. So maybe it's I don't know too much about the painting process. I also do know that Rockwell had quite a classical approach when it came to his painting process. He was like the very, very classical, like raw umber imprimatura, then monochromatic underpainting, like dead layer, grisaille if you want, then full body colors, and then like finishing the painting and detailing. And this quite looks like a painting that has been kept at an early stage because it was powerful enough. So I don't know. Oh, Spielberg also used this picture. I didn't know that, James. Thank you. I didn't know that. I think he was in the Navy for a short time. He was discharged for some reason quite quickly. His art is focused on high standards of society, like family, country, love, kind working class people. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he saw any combat. Oh, the parents looking over the child. But like you could really see this kind of composition like also like in a movie, in a very dramatic scene, like a a director could clearly use this scene in a movie So I don't know how far, like you can even see the canvas. Yeah, it's so it's intended that it looks raw like this. And it shows the technique really too. So this was an early stage, and I think he may have thought, why go any further? So he conceived this as a horizontal composition to run across 2 pages. The young man would be pictured on the left page. His next idea was to do 2 separate vertical pictures. But later decided against including the church. So, is this a finished painting, or was it like left out? All right. Oh, and you have to know too that Rockwell kind of had a very classical approach, but yet he did use some pretty catastrophic uh, technique using implying varnish, apparently. So apparently, many of his work, and he knew that, he kind of knew that, many of his paintings were, he applied a layer of varnish between layers of paint without waiting for the proper time. And apparently, I don't know much about it, but this created um, um, kind of bad results um, for his painting that start right now to age, and they will probably not age really well. So I didn't know about his wife. I think it's a finished painting. Like, it was not intended like this, but maybe because it was as powerful as it could be, he kept it this way. So this one too is quite famous. Like, again, whoever says Rockwell was not a serious painter, serious artist, is wrong, because this is very strong and very striking. So this is designed around this because this was printed in a magazine, and this is where the magazine would fold. It's called the gutter. So couldn't put the little girl right in the middle. And apparently, I've read that at first he started putting the little girl here, but then decided to put her there, and suggest that she is eager to go to school, like she's she can't wait, so she's like more forward, and I think it works well. You still have the same element. The color palette is very limited. Oh, sorry, it's not what I wanted. What? Wow, what's happening? What is happening? I don't know why he took a screenshot. Alright. Sorry. Just wanted to... Okay. So I don't remember what I was saying. Yeah, the palette is very limited. You don't need a lot of colors to do that. And you still have the same like element, like the red, kind of symbol of the blood dripping. And this little girl is just so cute. Like, he knew how to create and paint cute characters. But she's like both very cute and strong. It's quite uncommon to cut heads wherever in a composition. But I think that the fact that these guys do not have heads like in the composition makes it so much more striking. Not because of a symbolism of them having no heads or whatever, but just because like you are at the level of this little girl, and because you're at her level, like you focus on her, really only on her, and whatever is outside of the painting is not relevant. We're not going to give you the space up because you're only supposed to focus on her, which makes it so much more powerful. You only see that they are like deputies, and that's enough for you to know. Yeah, I think that this is supposed to help you just get to the level of this little girl and imagine what it's like to be in this little girl's shoes. Yeah, exactly. It means that you immediately look at this girl, and the rest is not relevant. So, but this is a very strong choice. Like cutting heads in every composition is a super strong choice, and I dare you to find many other paintings that have bodies with no heads. You won't find a lot of them. You won't. Except paintings that maybe have been cut off. So it's a very bold statement in terms of composition. Again, like the usual Rockwell style with very geometric, very straight composition. Is it? Oh no, okay. It's not right in the middle, but quite. So, well, this is the unusable space right there because of the magazine in mind. not a lot to say about the composition because it's quite obvious how the composition is made. It's, there's not a lot of things to to think about, except maybe that there is, sorry, there is an empty space right there. I think it's filled with tomato. Like sort of this space is empty, so it's kind of unbalanced on purpose. So you have, if you had to weight them, sorts of so I think it's unbalanced on purpose, and this tomato could not have been there or there. It's good where it is. And it's like it just hit right behind her, and like she's still moving forward. So it really brings this little girl forward. Yeah, the men are here to like escort her to school. What you can see or know makes you feel more insecure. Yeah, there is like this void right there. Like, yeah, it's kind of true. Like, this void right here kind of makes it feel insecure. Like, there is something wrong about this. There is something wrong about this street. There is something wrong that this little girl cannot even go to school without being escorted by 4 men. Like, this isn't right, and this is exactly the intention of the painting. This isn't right. Like, this is such a strong statement. It's hard to make a stronger statement even. Very cool picture. Very, very good picture. Yeah, it was reality at the time. Yeah, there is so much significant details too. So let's yeah, another one. New kids in the neighborhood too. So this one is not as it's also well known, and it's not as I'm gonna just read really quickly. So he would omit the step of detailed charcoal drawing. All right, so this one takes like still the same element, in this, still the same defense of civil rights movement, everything like this, the same thing, but without the with the angle of like kindness and innocence. So no adults here, and it's mostly kids, kind of foreign from each other, and but there's no violence. You see things with a much more positive 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 sorry positive look than the previous one. Still, it's the same kind of subject, but on this one you at least have hope, and indeed, like, the situation has gone better since this time, at least since this time, I mean. So it's a really good follow-up to the first painting, with all the violence of these people harassing the girl going to school, and right there is just like, okay, things are going to get better, because like these kids are going to most likely play with each other, so it's going to be fine. So it's a good it's a great symbol. I think it follows up really well. Hey, Dwinix Gaming. Yeah, like the relation between civil rights and this painting is very clear, because like at the time the society was very segregated. So no, it's not like for me as a French person, it also quite feels weird. Like for me, it's natural. Like black people, brown people, white people, everyone goes to school together and make friends. But like the US at the time, it was not exactly the same thing, and black people in the new, like being the new neighbors in a white neighborhood, as shocking as it may sound, it was not common, and it was kind of a foreign thing. He did not paint this like just it's a very strong political painting too, even though it takes the way of showing the innocence. It's not like showing the parents insulting each other or whatever. It's just showing the kids being just normal kids and just willing to be with each other. Hey, Christopher. Yeah, the colors of the cat and dog, I think they are meaningful. Yeah, they look like they are studying each other, because it was not common at the time, like for people to live in the same neighborhood at this time, like society. Yeah, when we think about it. But yeah, things are better than at this time, at least, so I hope they will not get worse. This dog is so cute. So again, you have very strong geometric elements, like super squarish composition. Like you have more rectangles than people in there. You could play a game, spot the rectangles. Like it's rectangle, rectangle, rectangle. Everything is very in front. Like everything is all straight. Which makes it look like some sort of scenery, like a play or something. Neutral curiosity, yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. Like, even though the parents are like doing stupid murders, like we've seen in the first painting with the murder, like the kids are just kids, and this is the hope, like, for the future. So just let kids be kids, and things will be fine. That's the hope, at least. He also did a painting with soldiers studying, a woman and boy praying in a cafe. I don't think they are in the Google project, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't know why he used so many geometric shapes. Yeah, he had the, like, in illustration, it was like a stylistic approach at the time, like to use like kind of geometric frames, but I think it's more about the style and to bring focus on the subjects. So this one is really cool too. We're going to have a look at the color study for this one too. This color study is really cool. It's not as it's not as straight. It's a lot more chromatic. Wonder why he didn't keep these burnt sienna kind of color, but well, you have to admit that this is quite uncommon for a truck as a color, but it works quite well. Maybe it's just the underpainting though. Oops, sorry. Oh, and this is the color study. It's funny that this color study is so, like, if you remember the painting of this one, I just found this, so I didn't know there was this color study. It's like he only kept the burnt sienna for the blood dripping, and all the rest is amber on the final painting, just with the addition of white. So this is only a wash. There's no white in there. Cool. That's cool. Yeah, like his approach is very traditional. That's true. It was all like the very classical 19th century learning technique, like layering the colors first with a wash of like raw umber. So like most of his paintings would look like this at first, and then he would add the colors, and also like making painstakingly extensive charcoal studies before, like charcoal drawings before. That's also quite classical, especially after people like Sargent, after people like the Impressionists, to still keep doing charcoal preparatory drawings. This was kind of this was a lot of work, especially for an artist that was supposed to provide a lot of illustrations for magazines. Doing a charcoal study all the time takes like twice as long. But it was part of the process, because he also did a lot of photography. He did use let me see if we can find. He used like some thing called balopticon. Like it's quite common now. We talk about camera obscura all the time. So this was called balopticon projection. So he would just project a photo. So he talks about this. Oh, I've got a quote here about, like, this is Norman Rockwell talking. I'm gonna. The balopticon is an evil, inartistic. That's all him talking. The balopticon is an evil, inartistic, habit-forming, lazy, and vicious machine. It's also a useful, time-saving, practical, and helpful one. I use it often, and I'm thoroughly ashamed of it. I hide it whenever I hear people coming. But I also have one other quote where he says that like he's not copying. First of all, you have to realize that he was clearly capable of drawing without it, but he would use it like to sort of create copy paste pictures and elements. Like, see, he has like his entire canvas right there, or drawing board, and he would just cut and paste elements and then change the elements and like move things around, change details, changed expressions. So it's not a just simple copy. Like, you have to realize that he had to be very productive, because like photography was was tough competition. So you had to provide a lot of paintings. So this was a way to save time. But he was capable of drawing probably without this device. That's for sure. Yeah, it's kind of collage, exactly. Yeah, he did plenty of work without it to start, but like he worked. Yeah, he could work from life. He was a perfectly capable artist, so he had nothing to prove anymore. But still, he had like dozens of paintings to do at the same time, and he had to go fast. So he had nothing to prove to anyone. So he was still ashamed that he used this machine, like he said in this quote. But he said, like, I have another quote right there about this device. No, it's not this one. So he altered this sketching. Okay. So he said, that's Rockwell saying this too. The quote is a little bit longer, so I cannot copy it. So he said, when using the balopticon, I do not simply copy everything which is projected. Instead, I make many changes, large and small, in order to make the drawing like the image in my mind of what I want to portray. I cannot emphasize this point too much. The real danger in using the balopticon is that you will develop the lazy tendency to follow the image exactly, instead of following the creative idea or image within yourself. So the balopticon was just here to just help him move faster and sort of like boost his imaginative process. So there's further quote. Painting from photographs can be a wholly creative performance if the artist himself is creative. To copy the form, tone, and color of a photographic print certainly is not creative, but one can be creative by modifying drawing, values, and other aspects of the photo to realize the creative needs of the subject. The camera is no substitute for those creative faculties of mind and hand which have always produced art and always will. The artist who can't draw or paint will never get anywhere trying to work from photographs. That's another quote, another important quote. L'important, c'est l'idée originale, exactement. Donc en fait, le bal-opticon lui sert à, à mettre en forme un peu son idée de composition. Yeah, it's time saving. I don't know because he was still a this is still there's still for me a paradox because he wants to save time on the drawing, but he still often did a charcoal drawing. They said that in the later years he did not do a charcoal drawing anymore, but still, um, why not just draw your thing directly on the canvas? Why make a charcoal drawing if you really want to save time and if you have the Balopticon? So I think he had the charcoal drawing. If I think about it, why make it a complete or at least very detailed charcoal drawing if you're concerned with saving time? But I think that the charcoal drawing was a way for him to create the painting before it started, like he sort of really had to had a clear idea of what it was going to finally look like. And I've experienced that if you don't have a clear idea of your entire composition, you end up going back in your painting or changing things that you could go so much faster. Like the for instance in my own paintings, the paintings with the circular mirror that I've painted, I didn't think of it at first. I also did a charcoal drawing though for this painting, but I didn't think about this early enough, so I didn't have this in mind at first. And when you have to come back and modify the entire painting, it's painstaking because modifying a painting that has been taken to an advanced stage, it's a lot of work. It's even more work than making a preparatory drawing at first. So I kind of understand why he would spend many time, and you can still see that. So he spent time working on this, but he also like kind of cut it to see where can it go somewhere else. Oh yes, and what if I make this? What if I change this? What if this girl is forward and not backwards? And you can really, if you make those decisions before you pick up your brush, it will save time in the entire process. Yeah, he also had helpers at a time, like when he was at its most productive like period, apparently. Could sell the originals later. Yeah, it seems like a lot of work for someone with deadlines because basically, for those of you who are lazy and do not want to do a charcoal like this, if you want, like, you can make like a small sketch, because like this is a scaled drawing. But if you want a small sketch, just make your on your sketchbook, and then just you can also pick directly the canvas at the desired size and sort of do this, but instead of doing this with charcoal, just do a grisaille, for instance. The thing is that Rockwell first did the charcoal, then the imprimatura, then the grisaille, and then the full body colors, which is the longest step, which is the traditional step too. So I think this was how he was instructed, and he was just a very methodic man. He did not want to step away too much from this traditional technique, because that was what made his success. This is the traditional teaching techniques of the atelier, and he didn't want to step away too much from it in terms of process, because in terms of style he went like way out, but in terms of process, yeah, he kept the traditional approach, which is good, but kind of funny for someone that had to make that many paintings. It's amazing still, because like the traditional approach is the longest. It's very efficient, but it's the longest. It takes time. So that's a fascinating way to approach things in a time where photography can do this in just a fraction of a second. And the guy was making a charcoal drawing. I still think he was quite quick and he could work fast. He reused some of his characters and poses. No, I think Benoit. I think that he was really, really like for each painting, he had some models. Like for each painting, he would make like the model sit exactly like he wanted, so it could not reuse. Like photography, even though it was kind of the competition for him, photography still had a, like you can see right there, I hope I cannot have both of them, but you can see how it changed the proportions. So he did not just project the photograph and copy like mindlessly. So it's not the same at all. So yeah, even though photography was kind of the competition for him, he still was able to use it quite well. Like if you look at this, like he changed the little girls. But this guy kind of looks very fun, even like on the photograph. Oh, I never saw this. The guy is like scratching names. So like the photographs were just very unique. Could not quite use them for different paintings. Loomis said that the photographs showed too much. Yeah, maybe at the time, but now with Photoshop, like you can, it's still a different story. Like photo editing takes it to a completely different level. But it's true that at the time, like photograph, there was no way to edit like you can today. So at the time, painting was making things possible. Like you could remove things, change things, add element, and really make your drawing interesting. Uh, and to zoom in on the picture, but I can't. Some of the models were neighbors. Yeah, probably. Photography used to be ironclad in court. Funny how technology changes. Yeah, well, that's how time evolved. I think like Rockwell was exactly at the frontier, just before photography won everything. And this is also a time where most artists were more going for modern art and later contemporary art. Because like painting realistically, like Rockwell did, was becoming more and more. First, it was painstaking, and more and more like irrelevant when you consider that photography was so prevalent, and was such a demand for photography, and not anymore for painting. So more and more artists just started started going for modern art, and like even abandoning figuration at all. What website are you looking at? This is called this is on petapixel.com. The photographs Norman Rockwell used for his paintings. And this is time. I just looked on Google, so no real. Yeah, the way they're moving is unusual. It's not actually the right move. They're kind of. It would be more like. So it's clearly the type of walk that you do if you're taking a pose. Like if someone asks you to just take the pose of someone walking. Because when you walk, it's you don't really get that exact stance, because either your foot is a little bit more in the air, or your weight is a little bit more off in the back. So it's one or the other. So this is clearly like the photo, the person's. But it could also be like you have this kind of stance, in fact, when you are stopping walking, when you stop stepping forward, and then you take this kind of stance, like with the balance right in the middle, like this. Because when you walk, the balance is always going forward. So this little girl is more like going forward, like she has more of a genuine walk. Like it's much more light in how she moves. Because like her weight is not on this leg, whereas this guy's weight is on this heel, and the weight of the girl is not on the heel. The weight of the guy is on the heel. So it could mean that the guys are stopping and the girl is moving. I'm not sure it's meant to be that way. Or maybe it's just a symbol that they are indeed marching, and this could be military march too, with like weird balance. But like the girl is really moving, because the balance is not on the foot that's holding her up. So she's really moving forward. These guys are kind of stuck. I don't know if it's important, if it matters or not. They seem to float in the air. Kind of, yeah. Their arms are moving too much. Yeah, this would indicate kind of a military march. Or it's probably because they are holding the pose for the photo. Whatever, it can be lots of things. Interesting, yeah, the symbolism of this march. Can we look closer at the image of the girl in the bus? Girl in the bus is not in the Google Art project. So no. It's on another website, and I can't zoom in on the pictures. Don't think it's really high quality pictures. It's as close as you can go. because I cannot zoom. Oui, c'était clairement pendant la ségrégation raciale aux États-Unis en fait. Ça remonte à l'époque où bah, les Noirs n'avaient pas le droit d'aller dans les mêmes écoles, les mêmes institutions, et donc cette petite fille va certainement dans une école de Blancs, et en fait, du coup, voilà, elle est obligée d'être escortée pour faire face à l'hostilité des mécontents, parce que l'action des civil rights, ça s'est pas passé en un jour, quoi. Ça a dû prendre un certain temps avant que ce soit accepté vraiment aux États-Unis. Mais bon, pour nous en France, ouais, c'est inimaginable, mais ouais, c'est vrai, c'était comme ça. Il y avait aussi le premier étudiant noir dans une fac américaine aussi, qui avait fait aussi, il avait fallu le protéger, parce il y avait l'hostilité des blancs de l'époque et du racisme qui existait à l'époque de façon vraiment systématique dans le pays. I really like this one too. I really like the colors on this one. I don't think it's a... The photograph is not made of the actual painting, so you can't really see. Yeah, exactly. It's a little girl looking at two lovers. The man is off balance a little bit, yeah. But that's still something you can have. So he's kind of off balance, but he's got some abs, so he can work it out. It's the kind of pose that you can get like when you're actually like stepping closer to just appreciate from far. Like he's probably trying to grasp. Thing is just that he's more looking like right there and not the kids, because clearly the girl is blocking the view. But you don't realize that, where you just see, like you see that the man is looking at the kids, so he's stepping back to just look better, like look at both kids, even though like in reality he is not turned enough to really see them properly. But well, yeah, there's four of these. You're right. For like, it was propaganda for war effort during Second World War. So you had this one. You have this one, which has become an icon of Thanksgiving. Like family, fight for your family, fight for your kids, like to protect your kids, fight for freedom of worship, fight for your God. And the fourth one, fight for freedom of speech. So it's too bad that they did not take the actual painting for the reproduction. These are some posters. So these are the four go together. Salut Creed, on parle de Norman Rockwell. J'utilise un logiciel qui s'appelle Active Inspire. Yeah, the color is really cool, really great. It's not overdone, like the color of this shirt. Even like the dirty jacket or coat, it's really nice. You can really see the discoloration. The guy is worker, like middle class, working class. His jacket's not perfect. It has holes and stains. Yet he is still able to speak his mind. No, I think it's just a working class jacket. Ah ouais, c'est des peintures. C'est des peintures à l'huile. Bah après, ça a été reproduit sur des affiches en fait. C'était un peintre et illustrateur. Bah t'iras voir, t'iras faire une petite recherche sur Norman Rockwell, tu verras un peu. Ok, ok. Alright, I think I'm gonna go, guys. So I hope you liked this episode on Norman Rockwell. I still have your suggestion for the next artist, but I'm gonna keep them for later. And still, when I have ideas, I'm gonna make the ideas that I have, and when I don't know really what artist to pick, I'll pick one from your suggestions. So thank you very much for being here, and don't forget to leave a like, please, if you enjoyed this episode. And there will be no stream on Saturday because I'm not at home. So I'll see you next week, next Wednesday. So take care, guys. And if you want to leave me more suggestion, yeah, feel free to leave me names of artists that you would like me to speak about. All right, bye everyone. Take care.